Hello ratbags, it's Jade. Welcome to a special video today taking a look at The Forest running on a PlayStation 5. Yes, has it had any improvements? But also some big sad news about Sons of the Forest, the sequel, and whether or not it's going to be appearing on Xbox or PlayStation in the near future. Farket, one of the biggest and best Forest game creators or content creators, has got an interview with End Night Games and they had a bunch of stuff they went through. So absolutely go and check out that video. I'll leave the links for it in the comment section. I'm not going to go over everything from that video, so you need to go and watch it to get more details. But I'm going to concentrate on the console angle, as Farket is a PC gamer first. And basically what the news was and what the interview brought up and how it impacts The Forest either coming to the Xbox ever, and the situation with Sons of the Forest ever appearing on console. I also will go through a few little details on that, but like I said, you definitely need to go and check out Farket's video for more info. I was really excited about The Forest 2 when it suddenly appeared last year at the Game Awards. I was thinking, right, this is great stuff. We're going to finally get it maybe coming to Xbox and PlayStation a little bit sooner. It looked like it was going to be on maybe across all platforms. I had assumed that because they'd already shipped The Forest and then made a bit of money and it was one of the most successful games on a PlayStation 4, that they would have maybe the money to get a port team involved. But it looks like no, they're not. So the Sons of the Forest 2 is not going to be out until next year. It could be out at any time next year. And it's looking likely you're not going to be able to play it on a console, even though we've got next gen and everything going on for a good few years yet. And it's kind of really disappointed me. Now, I'm going to go over some of the plus points and some of the negatives as well, and just talk a little bit more about what Farket learned in his interview. But in a nutshell, they've got no PlayStation 5 or Xbox One X plans, or obviously for the older generation too. And it's a real shame. There's no doubt about it, End Night have made a fantastic game over the years. It's one of the most highest rated games on Steam. And if you didn't know, in the UK it was the 7th most popular game download in 2019. And it just crept in the top 20 in the US at number 19. Now that's a huge feat, because it actually came out just at the end of 2018 in November. And normally games make the most money they'll ever make in the first month of sales. So for this game to be 7th in the UK charts, beating all sorts of things like Ark, Conan still. Also the same year that DayZ made its way to the PlayStation 4, it wasn't even in top 10, that game. I think that's a pretty big indication of how well it did for them on PlayStation. Now I did see some rumours a little while ago that they didn't really make enough money on the PlayStation when they ported it, and that was a load of nonsense. Part of Farket's interview pretty much tells us as well that they actually ported the game themselves, or this is what Farket learned. I didn't know this either. I didn't realise that the port team, I thought they'd maybe got some help from it. Hence why it did take a bit longer, but also maybe why we're not seeing it on Xbox. Clearly they got it out on the PlayStation and then they started obviously working on the Sons of the Forest 2, which meant there wasn't time for them to do the same job for Xbox. And this is where I feel like I really implore them, if they happen to come across this video, please think about getting a port team involved. You've got the money obviously to develop your next game. It sounds like it's going to be going in early access, Sons of the Forest again, but please do something for other Xbox fans. Find a good port company. There are some out there. Fun Labs seem to be doing a pretty good job with Stranded Deep, and they recently just ported Unturned. Now Unturned's a fairly complex game, a little bit like DayZ in terms of scale, believe it or not. Not that maybe the graphics, but in terms of memory and items and stuff. And so I think they could be a good outfit for you. I do believe they're based in Romania or somewhere like that, and they're relatively cheap in terms of what they can do. I would implore that they actually think about getting these guys involved for the Xbox port at least of the original Forest game. When it comes to the Sons of the Forest, I can kind of understand they are PC developers first, and so if they do go ahead and get the game ready for PC, yep, fine. The plus side of that is that we won't experience the problems that the Forest did have quite a bit during early access. Like all early access games, there's periods where the developers are pretty active and then there's periods where they're not, and it did lead to a lot of questions about what was going on with the game. If it's one area they desperately need to improve in the coming months or year, is their communication. They've admitted they've not always been good at it, but I would say it's gone beyond that. Their communication in the past has been pretty dire. You absolutely just need to find the right community manager that can hype up your game while you guys get on with the busy work and get some feedback to you in a positive way. Since the reveal of Sons of the Forest 2 last year in November, a whole year away now, we've had absolutely nothing. No word, no talk, and I would say that's poor planning and marketing as well. For sure, lots of games do this, but we're talking about usually big AAA games that maybe want to put a feeler out, like we saw with Fable from Microsoft this year. For smaller games, I feel like it's still much more beneficial to actually come out with some info or some screenshots or some, art you're working on, something, not go a whole year without saying a word. But by the sounds of it, they will be going into early access. It's not going to be a finished product when it launches. And when it does launch, you can expect it to be in early access for a good few years. The original Forest game was in early access like nearly 5 years. And obviously the PS4 version didn't happen until at least a good 6-9 months after they'd actually came out of early access completely. So yeah, it's bad news. We're not going to be seeing the sequel to Sons of the Forest on a console for a long time. Now things may change, I really hope they do. Maybe they decide to get into a partnership with Xbox and go early access possibly. But by the sounds of it, they really are pretty keen on doing their own thing on PC first and then devoting their time to a console port afterwards. Now before some PC diehards jump all over my case and say, well that's what they are, they're PC, who cares? Listen, dickheads, I will say it right now, on PlayStation, as I've said, they were the 7th best selling game in the UK based on stats, and that was incredible. They must have made even more money in the month it actually came out in November and December the year before. They sold a good few million copies on PC, but it was in development a long time, so I imagine that a lot of the money they earned through PC sales they did pretty much probably burn through it over 4 or 5 years of developing it, even if it was a small team. So I can well imagine that actually the PlayStation 4 sales really helped them bolster them and maybe have gone towards planning their next game. And so forward thinking and seeing how you can generate more money in the future, I think is important. One negative aspect, I guess, is that porting companies normally come attributed or with publishers. Publishers tend to have the flex with these porting companies. They may have special deals with them, etc. And so generally it's hard to broke something like this on your own. Green Hill recently announced that they will be doing the port jobs themselves, I believe, for Xbox and PlayStation, although they did get some help with the Nintendo Switch. And that's because they simply can't find a good enough deal because publishers are just arseholes. They will take a huge amount of your money. It comes out that you might only get maybe 20% off a sale of your game when you've got a big publisher or even a medium-sized publisher involved. So bear in mind what, The Forest is like 20 quid on a PlayStation. You think about that. They've only probably earned about 4 quid per copy if they had gone through a publisher and got a porting team involved. So fair play to them. They did the job themselves and meant they only had to pay 30% to Sony and obviously some other costs, which meant they at least have kept around 60% profit from every sale. If you don't know, The Forest is one of my favourite games ever. Last 2 years, pretty much every list I've done talking about console survival games, The Forest has won. It's because it's got so much going in it. You can play a PvE aspect. You can have the scary mutants all over. The base building is exceptional and it is one of the best, scariest games going as well. Now I'm playing it on my PS5 today. I wanted to check it out. I've just had it arrive and I'll be doing a live stream, or you may have already seen live stream by the time this video is out. So I'll be giving it a run over and showing you guys if the new machines have given it a really good extra bit of performance. Bearing in mind that some of these games haven't actually had dedicated updates. I've spoke about this before, but literally unless the developer does go and add a specific update like Wildcard did for Ark on the Xbox, then some of these games will look a little bit better. They will maybe have a bit more draw distance on them, but they won't necessarily look miles better until the developers do an update. So at the very least, if you're not going to do any porting for Sons of the Forest 2, please see if you can examine the current or next gen. I'm already seeing quite a lot of frame rate tearing and stuff like that, so it hasn't really improved that aspect. But it'd be really nice at least on next gen if we get some sort of performance update to make the game look even better than it already does. I think The Forest looks great. I think it's always been one of the better looking games despite its age. As I said, I did play a lot of this on a live stream, or a little bit anyway, and I've got to say that it's definitely faster loading. If you're interested about the PlayStation 5, it loads the game really super quickly. It looks good, but there's still quite a bit of popping, as I said. I don't think it's drastically improved. So yeah, I really think this could benefit from a tailored update specifically to really take advantage of some of the stuff. Call me crazy, but they already got the Forest VR on PC. Maybe they could work towards putting VR on the PlayStation. That could be another way to generate a huge amount of money if they wanted to. Maybe call it a £10 VR upgrade or something. Shit, man, I need to work for these guys as their like brand and product management. So yeah, that's my 2 cents worth today talking about the Forest. Don't expect the Sons of the Forest on an Xbox or PlayStation for years. And we can only hope that for Xbox fans, they find a port team to do the job for them and just bring it to another audience. They have previously said they'd like to see the Forest on other platforms. Maybe it's not out of the realms of possibility. Now they've done all the hard work, it might even be quicker and easier to hand off the game to someone like Fun Labs who can maybe do the job even quicker. But it'd be great to see the original game on Xbox, and that would definitely tide over a new bunch of fans, generate new excitement and new interest in the game as well, so that when Sons of the Forest does eventually arrive on consoles, the hype for it will be even bigger than it already is going to be. You guys know I prefer playing on the console, with lots of different reasons for that, but one of them is performance. Like my recording software works better when I'm using an Xbox or a PlayStation, because my PC's okay, but it is starting to show its age, and certainly my graphics card, it was great for its time, 1080 Ti, but it would be nice to look and see if I can get a newer one. In terms of details for Sons of the Forest 2, if you have missed it or you're not really that familiar with Farket's content, I'll just list off a couple of things, but like I said, go and check out his video for more details. It is going to be a multiplayer game, the sequel. It will have modding support. It's going to be pretty much the same building system, but with lots of new features and new stuff to build. And despite there being a lot of focus maybe on the shotgun in the trailer, it will be kind of a very special item with limited ammo, so it's not about to suddenly turn into a first-person shooter. There will be lots of new creatures, and like I said, Farket has got the lowdown. Just go and check out his video for more details. So yeah, hate to be the bearer of bad news, guys, but I've been excited about this, been telling you guys hopefully it'll be coming. And I don't know, I just assumed that with their success, they maybe have got Sons of the Forest pretty much up and running and done. And who knows, that could change, but by sounds of it, it is going to be going into early access, and we can expect a lengthy time. You hear any more news about Sons of the Forest? If I hear any more news about it coming to Xbox ever, I'll let you guys know. But that's the current situation right now with the Forest and Sons of the Forest on the console. Until next time, Ratbags, laters.